Hi, welcome to Harvesting Herbal Freedom. I'm Danielle, your host, your friendly neighborhood herbalist, and today I'm diving back into a topic close to my heart, fermentation. But before we begin, I want to hear how your week has been. Drop me a comment, let's connect. I truly enjoy hearing about your herbal journeys and how they're unfolding. Let's get into my fermentation journey. Unlike many people, I didn't start my fermentation path with sourdough, though I tried. It did not work out as I hoped. The very first thing I ever fermented was apple peels and cores. That's right, I set out to make an apple cider vinegar. Well, technically, I succeeded, except I threw it away when I saw a layer of yeast on the top. I didn't realize that was normal. It's just wild yeast doing its thing. I simply didn't know any better yet. My earliest memory of fermentation, though, goes further back, quite a bit further back to my childhood. My dad and I once made a grape wine from fruit we grew in our garden, on our grapevines. And I was, as they say, in his back pocket everywhere he went. My mom swears we also made sourdough when I was young, though only a trace memory in my mind of a vague cloud of pancakes. It's funny how our brains choose to remember things. So after this, fermentation take two. After the apple cider vinegar attempt, I tried sourdough again, using what I could find online. And I've got to ask this. Why are there so many gatekeepers in the sourdough world? So many tutorials with critical details left out. Not to use tap water. How cooler climates affect rising times. What to expect in the first few days. To use unbleached flour. Really? Eventually I bought a book and I followed the directions, but my sourdough starter would bubble on day 3 and would be dead by day 5 with no explanation. I failed at sourdough 3 more times and I put it down for a while. That's when I turned to something else. My winemaking phase. With fresh fruit coming in from the garden, I decided to try my hand at wine. My first batch took 1.5 years to ferment and settle. When it was finally bottled, I aged it for another 6 months. The result? A beautifully clear, super dry wine with a bit of funk. Perfect for sipping and phenomenal in white sauces. My second wine was strawberry. Not quite finished when I bottled it for Christmas gifts, but still tasty. Over time, it became my favorite batch. I've experimented with wine ever since, and always using the traditional heat-free, additive-free methods. This is true ancient fermentation, nearly lost in modern America. I had to dig into ancestral memory and intuition to figure it out. It's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever learned, and I intend to pass it on. Now, it was time to revisit sourdough. Once I had a solid foundation in fermentation from wine and vinegar, it was time to revisit the sourdough. And at this time, something clicked. I ignored the book. I stopped following the rules, and I followed feel. And wouldn't you know it, the next day my starter rose. I fed her, nurtured her, and named her Priscilla because she was a prissy little yaya about getting started. From there, I was unstoppable, baking breads, cookies, muffins, waffles, pancakes, you name it. And I wrote a guidebook, The Vital Rise Sourdough for Everyday Wellness. There's a link in the description if you're interested. Now, I birth sourdoughs for friends and family, And I bottle apple cider vinegar for using all year long. And I brew herbal wines for baking, for sipping, for cooking, for tinctures, for whatever, for gifts. And it's fermentation with intention. These days, I love to level up fermentation. For example, I ask, what nutrients does this plant contain in its raw form? What nutrients are unlocked through fermentation? Because if you didn't know, fermentation makes nutrients more bioavailable, easier for our bodies to absorb and use, and that's something I want to explore more deeply. I've even considered buying a microscope so I could see what's going on in these bubbly jars, though I'll likely need help interpreting what I'm seeing. As I've said before, I'm not a scientist, but I love making scientific knowledge accessible, stripping it down so everyday people can understand it and apply it. That's why I love fermentation. It's forgiving, it's intuitive, and it's a form of freedom. Fermentation makes us more sustainable. It teaches us patience. It gives us something to nurture, and it feeds us. This journey is far from over, and I hope to make more discoveries, gain deeper insight, and keep sharing as I go. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Danielle, your herbalist and host, and until next time, keep harvesting your freedom one herb at a time.